Our reaction continues to pour in following the announcement yesterday that Pope Francis will visit Canada. The Holy Father says that he hopes the trip will help efforts at forgiveness with Indigenous peoples following revelations of the Catholic Church's role in the abuse and death of thousands of Native children. The Holy Father was invited by Canada's Conference of Catholic Bishops. They say that they are, quote, grateful for the Vatican's announcement. The bishops add that they are in contact with leaders from the Indigenous peoples community, and they are praying the trip will be a milestone in the journey towards healing. A group of Indigenous Canadians will meet Pope Francis at the Vatican in December. At the meeting, the group is expected to ask for the release of all records that relate to the residential schools. A date for the Holy Father's trip to Canada has not yet been announced. And joining us now is Archbishop Richard Gagnon, head of the Diocese of Winnipeg and former president of the Catholic Conference of Canada. Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time today. First off, for those who may not be familiar, can you quickly talk about the controversy in Canada regarding the residential schools and what happened there so many years ago?
Well, it's a long story. I mean, residential schools, boarding schools, industrial schools have been present in Canada, most predominantly in Western Canada, for 140 years. So it's a long period of time. And these schools served as a means of, if you will, assimilation of the Indigenous people into Canadian society. But at the same time, there were lots of neglects of their own culture and language and heritage, and family life was disturbed in that process. And so starting at the beginning of the 2000s, a Truth and Reconciliation Commission was established in Canada for 5 years, giving voice, listening to the voice of Indigenous people who have suffered through this process, through this structure of residential schools. And recommendations came forward as to what needs to be done in Canada to improve relationships between Indigenous people and, in general, Canadian society. And that, of course, would include the Catholic Church, which was one of the entities that ran the schools on behalf of the government. They were government schools, but they were administered and run by the Church. And so this is the long history behind it, and a lot of suffering, family suffering, individual sufferings. There were abuses in the school and so on over those many years for quite a few generations.
Yeah. And as we mentioned, the Holy Father plans to visit Canada. No date has been set yet. That said, what do you think it says that Pope Francis will be making the trip there, and what type of impact do you think it'll have?
Well, I think it'll have a very positive impact. The Indigenous people have been asking for some time for the Holy Father to come to Canada and apologize for the actions of the institutional church in Canada for the residential school system. And this has been a desire on the part of many Native people, many Indigenous people in Canada for a very long time. And so the reaction of this news has been well received, very positive. As you know, the Holy Father has made these kinds of gestures before on behalf of the Catholic Church in different countries. He has a very strong interest in peoples who have found themselves on the fringes of society, who have suffered because of systemic racism, colonialism, and those kind of things. And so his presence will be most welcome when he does come.
And going forward, how do you think the Church will or should work towards healing and reconciliation with the Indigenous people in the community?
Well, the Church has been present in Indigenous communities since the beginning of the country and before, and that presence continues. This will provide a big step forward in relationship. It will be in building and rebuilding relationships and establishing new relationships. And so this will be a strong motivation to do even more on the part of the Church, and will have a strong effect in Canada as well.
And Your Excellency, before I let you go, just wondering if you have any final thoughts about the Holy Father's visit to Canada in the future.
Well, I think, as I said before, we are all looking forward to this event. We've been working hard towards this for the past 3 years, actually. And the delegation in Rome this coming December, composed of elders, knowledge keepers, survivors of residential school, and youth, will be a dialogical encounter with the Holy Father, and will be very positive in framing his visit, in helping to plan his visit, whenever that will be. And so this is good news. It's hard news. It's a challenge, hard for everyone, but good news. And people are feeling very positive about it.
Well, Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time today and speaking with us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.